So let's get into this debate, y'all. I'm sure everyone saw clips of it, whether it be in the Shade Room, whether it be an ATL Scoop, CNN, whatever you have. I'm sure you've seen some of that debate. Let me.
Whip it, whip it, work, work, work,
Welcome everyone to another episode of The Black Brief. Episode 6 will be called The Debate of the Year, Kamala versus Trump. Welcome to another episode of The Black Brief, where we give you your latest in politics, pop culture, and problems of the day, briefed in a very Jalen Black way. So let's get into this debate, y'all. I'm sure everyone saw clips of it, whether it be in the Shade Room, whether it be an ATL Scoop, CNN, whatever you have. I'm sure you've seen some of that debate. Let me just say, I was excited for this debate because the last debate, let's recall, against Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and it was just a bad debate overall. Like, Joe Biden wasn't really up for it. They say he was a little sick. I don't think he really hit Trump in any way that was advantageous to the Democrats. And Donald Trump did his usual, and he lied, and he lied, and he lied. And I knew that would not work with Kamala Harris. Because let's remind everyone, Kamala Harris used to be a prosecutor. She's a lawyer. She used to be a senator, attorney general. So she is truly used to making a case against someone. And I love that. I was like, let's actually have a compelling debate because the American people, you watching this, deserves to hear what the two front runners of the presidential race means for your life and what it means for your children's lives and things like that. So I want to give you all my honest opinion on it. Kamala Harris whopped Donald Trump. And let me tell you why. From the moment the debate started, did you all notice how she walked up to him to shake his hand? He was going right to behind his podium just to start. He was not trying to look at her. He wasn't trying to shake her hand or anything like that. She crossed the stage to go to him to shake his hand. And I think, that shows how presidential that is, because if you're going to be the president of the United States, you have to understand that you will likely shake hands with people that you don't agree with. They meet with world leaders all the time that they might not be particularly on their side of issues for things, but it's what you do as a leader. So I love that she did that just right out the gates. And the number one thing I noticed about the debate is Donald Trump did not look at Kamala Harris one time. And I was like, is he scared? Is he shaking? Because he ain't gonna make it. Okay, former cheerleaders. No, I didn't get that. Okay. But I was just like, come on. Like, he didn't look at her. Like, the whole time he was kind of like, and she was like, and we have this, and that long pause, y'all. We all filled in what she wanted to say. She said, former president, and a lot of people want to talk about the code switching of Kamala Harris. I was like, let's be clear. She's a 60-year-old Black woman. And any Black woman that has navigated professional spaces understands we have to do what we have to do to fit whatever room we're in. We know how to talk to our people. We know how to talk to people that aren't our people. We know how to talk to people that can identify with all people. Like, we have to be able to navigate those spaces. So Kamala Harris really presented herself, in my opinion, as a president for all people. Whereas Donald Trump, all he was saying all night is, well, she, well, this, well, her, well, she's not going to get this done for you. What has she been doing? What has she been doing this whole time? And Kamala Harris is like, I want to present this plan and this vision of what all American people can get around. So she had a couple good lines that I just wanted to make sure that I caught in this podcast. And it was this whole idea that regardless of if I'm your first choice, your second choice, third choice, regardless if you're a Republican and thinking of voting for me, regardless if you're not someone who doesn't vote regularly and you're thinking of voting for me, I will be a president for you. In her closing remarks, she said this, and I wanted to make sure I captured it. She talked about all her life, her clients have been the people. They've been you. They've been me. She's talked about whether she was in a courtroom or in the Senate floor, she's always served people. And when she says, and when I have a client, I never ask them if they're Democrat, Republican, or independent. I ask them, how are you? And it was something so healing about that statement, you all. I was like, oh, how am I? You know, and I really think she's really appealing to all people. She's trying to grow her base, regardless of not just Democrats, but definitely leaning into more of the Republicans too, the independents. Because again, I said on previous episodes, you want to find as many paths to victories as you want in this presidential race. And what Kamala is doing is making herself appeal to as many people as possible because it really is going to go down to the margins. I also thought it was interesting that Donald Trump said a ton of conspiracies. We've seen the aftermath from the debate. There are Black people in Springfield, Ohio, as I record this, who are being bullied and tortured, and they're messing up their businesses, all because Donald Trump is saying Haitians are eating cats and dogs. Like, what? And then I saw a good point. Like, people don't know the difference of a Haitian versus any other Black American. So they're just terrorizing Black people because of the conspiracies that him and JD Vance have continued to say. It is truly dangerous rhetoric. And I want everyone to take note of what happens when you have rhetoric like this spewing from a presidential candidate into a community. It's very sad to see. And then he starts talking about Joe Biden, and Kamala said, you're not debating Joe Biden. You're not running against Joe Biden. You're running against me. And let me tell you, I think all Black women were just kind of like, wop, 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 wop. Okay. Like, that was quite a line. And Donald Trump was literally like, y'all push Joe Biden out. And is he even alive? Does he know he's alive? Donald Trump is so mad because Republicans spent all this time building a narrative that Joe Biden's too old. He's too old to be president. And now with Biden dropping out and endorsing Kamala Harris, that makes President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, the oldest candidate by large, right? He's now too old to run for president, and it's showing. He acted like truly an 80-year-old crybaby on that stage. I said, what is this? I want to hear your plans. My favorite line from Donald Trump, y'all, because I was like, let me be fair. I told you the Black Brief will bring you informative of what happened. I won't try to sway you either way or the other. I will give my opinion, but I'll give a nod when things are good, whether it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. One thing that I found interesting is when it comes down to our healthcare, our ability to see a doctor, our ability to know if we have a pre-existing condition. Donald Trump's main plan is to take away Obamacare, or they've reframed it to be the Affordable Care Act because it was so successful. They wanted to take Obama's name out of it. So it can just be like, oh, this is the plan for healthcare in America. I just want to say, because of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, that is the reason I had health insurance all the way up until I was 26. And then I had to get my own insurance. And for those of us who know, like coming out of college or whatever you do after high school, that's a very hard time to have a job stable enough to give you adequate health care. So yes, I am appreciative of Obamacare because that was the only reason I was able to have health insurance under my parents because of this law. Instead of offering another alternative to a big issue like healthcare, Donald Trump says, and I quote, I have concepts of a plan. And the moderator said, so you don't have a plan. Like, and everyone wants to, and I was, I watch all sorts of news. I watch Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, whatever. I read social media, things like that. I get a wide range of views on this. Republicans want to just attack the moderators because they're like, oh, they didn't push Trump the way that they pushed Harris. And it wasn't fair for him. And then it's so funny. I saw a reporter tweet out, you're going to know who lost the debate by the one who doesn't accept doing another debate. And lo and behold, Donald Trump said he is not debating Kamala Harris again. So what does that mean? Wop, 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 wop. She did her thing. And it's like, I want to be very clear. As a Black woman, people fear that level of competence. She gave such a great debate performance. It was even hard to find like a flaw of hers. She came from bringing the country together where he attacked, her confidence, her answering the questions, like that is mind blowing. She answered the questions. I thought one of her best answers was on the issue of abortion because Donald Trump, who still prides himself in being the one to overturn Roe v. Wade and having a Supreme Court that led to the overturn of Roe v. Wade, he was like, yeah, everybody wanted to go down to the states. Everybody wanted to go down to the states. Baby, nobody in the South wanted this to go down to the states because we know what happens when states' rights, yeah, y'all should look it up. States' rights, what that historically has meant for Black people. That is codifying racism in policy. That's exactly what that is. So if you look at a map of abortion bans in the country, you will see Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina. We have the most restrictive abortion bans, and that is where the bulk of Black people live. So he wants to pride himself on that. And Kamala Harris said, for the people who are getting raped and have incest and have the worst things happening to them and their bodies, you think they wanted this? Like, women are currently dying in emergency rooms, at hospitals. They can't be helped for having miscarriages because miscarriages and abortions literally look like the exact same thing medically. And because you overturn what has essentially been the law of the land for 50 years, women across the country are dying. She said no one wants that. So, you know, I mean, even the temperament of Kamala Harris. I know y'all probably heard Donald Trump was like, yeah, I'm speaking. Oh, you remember that? He was really trying to egg her on in ways that I was like, no, he didn't. But yes, he did. And she stayed presidential. I know she wanted to say that MF, you know. She stayed presidential, she stayed formal, and that is very becoming of a leader. So I wanted to say, I think Kamala Harris whoppingly defeated Donald Trump in this debate, and it's very evident because he doesn't want to debate her again. And I think most people talking any sort of negativity about her debate performance, yes, she could have been more straightforward about a couple policy answers for sure. But overall speaking, it was not even close. She gave a future for America coming together as a country and solving our complex issues. Donald Trump gave a future of division and hate, talking about her race. Oh, she just decided to be Black. Ding, 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 ding. Biracial people can be both. They are both. They can identify with both Indian culture and Black culture. To be Black out of convenience, like how is this white man finna be telling a Black woman what she now is? That really was just very off-putting to me, and it just goes to exactly who Donald Trump is as a person and as a candidate. Let's switch gears a little bit. So that was the debate, but there's a lot going on in the world, and I'm a big fan of sports. So sometimes our pop culture will be about sports. And let's talk about our problems of the day. Did y'all not see Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins get arrested and pushed to the ground by Miami PD hours before his NFL game? I did. You know, when those pictures started to circulate, like it was concerned fans of just, oh my God, is that Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill is a star player on the Miami Dolphins. He's like one of the fastest people in the NFL. He's often nicknamed as the cheetah because he's very fast, like truly fast. And he's a large component of that team. They pulled him down for a traffic violation, knocked on his window and said, roll your window down. And he was just like, hey, don't knock on my window like this. Like what? Agitating them. They got annoyed, got him out the car, threw him to the ground, handcuffed him, stood him back up to then knee him back to the ground. And he said, I just had surgery on my knee. So his teammates are now coming in. They see him getting pulled over. He calling them like, y'all, I'm getting arrested. They end up arresting more people on the Miami Dolphins team, more Black men. And it just goes to show that a problem of the day will always be injustices in policing for Black people in this country. And Tyreek Hill, when he talked about it at the press conference, he said, I've been thinking, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? This would have been a different story. This is a multi-million-dollar athlete thrown to the ground in his own city. And it's like Dolphins fans, the Dolphins organizations, they're all saying, hey, like this is bad. This is what people are talking about. This is what Colin Kaepernick was kneeing about. But y'all were like, oh, this is NFL is not the place for this. I'm like, y'all are making millions upon billions of dollars off of black male athletes. And you're saying we can't advocate for these same black men against police brutality? I mean, it just, to me, goes to show that it does not matter your stature in this world. And I want all black people to hear this too. It does not matter your stature. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO, if you are the star of the team, if you're a corporate exec, whatever the case, you are black in the eyes of a police. They see our cars. They see, there's no way he's driving a Ferrari. There's no way he's driving it. They don't even feel like we would have money. They don't care about a statue because to police officers, we're black people, and particularly black men. And they fear that. And they're like, all the police officers I noticed, they were all short. And Tyreek Hill's not tall, but he's built. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they have this kind of vendetta for bigger black men. And I'm saying this as someone who has bigger black men in my family. They have to be the nicest person in the world all the time because they understand a police officer just fears them. Why do you fear an unarmed black person more than you fear an armed white person? That's a problem. And that continues to be a problem. So I just thought this was the most apparent thing. And I love that Tyreek Hill, he scored an 80-yard touchdown that game. And his touchdown celebration was his hands behind his back, cuffed up. Because he was like, that was me hours before. Locking me up, like trying to lock me up before my NFL game, that's insane. So I really hope that we get justice for that. But I hope we also realize this is not just a Tyreek Hill thing. This is not just something we saw this time. This is a deeply American problem with policing and the way they treat black people. And I'm glad it's getting the attention that it's getting. And I really hope the NFL looks at themselves deeply and was like, maybe Colin Kaepernick, maybe he was right, okay? And then lastly, y'all, pop culture. Can we talk about the artist of the year? No, I'm not talking about Taylor Swift, but shout out to Taylor Swift for endorsing Kamala Harris. She did a big one. Honestly, probably one of the biggest presidential endorsements of this race of Taylor Swift and her impact. She's a great artist. But I'm talking about Kendrick Lamar, baby. Yes, they not like us. They are not like him. He is performing at the Super Bowl halftime. Roll that announcement out hours before kickoff of the NFL season. Beautiful chef's kiss. And everybody was like, Drake's beef with Kendrick Lamar, like really put Kendrick in just a different level. He was like, I'm going to eat this man down. And now we get to see on a worldwide stage at the Super Bowl, him call Drake a colonizer. Anybody else excited? I am. So Kendrick Lamar is having truly one of the greatest years of an artist I've seen in a long time, if ever. And I find it remarkable that he took what was essentially beef and turned it into like, he's peaking. And Kendrick, I would argue, is already one of the greatest rappers. I mean, he is. He's a GOAT. Listen to his lyrics. He's one of the greatest. And now he's performing at the Super Bowl. I know there's a point of contention like, oh, we want Lil Wayne because he's local to New Orleans. I love me some Lil Wayne Carter too, but let's be clear. Lil Wayne is not a performer. He's not. And we love New Orleans, but when do you have where the Super Bowl is makes a difference of who's performing anyway? You don't. So love Lil Wayne, but this is not your time. I hope, maybe he can come out for the Super Bowl, but Kendrick Lamar deserves this moment. He is this moment and he's delivering on the moment. So shout out to him. Well, this was episode 6, the debate of the year, Kamala versus Trump. Thank you for listening to The Black Brief, and we'll see you next time.